Okay, so welcome back, class. I just want to go ahead and say thank you for having out your notes. The ones that I have already printed for you, there are several sections in this video where I wanted to go ahead and print out the circle for you to ensure the accuracy of your drawing. But I will need you to label those parts that are going to be shown in the video. Okay, so make sure that you have out your paper and your notes and your pencil. Okay. If at any point in time you need me to slow down, you feel free to pause the video, and then you can always, hit play to catch back up. If you need to make sure that you understood something, feel free to pause the video, rewind it a little bit to rehear an example, whatever you may need. Okay. So let's get started. So first thing that we need to talk about whenever we're looking at circumference is the parts of a circle. We need to make sure that we understand what exactly it is that we're solving for or looking for, and what the problems are discussing whenever we are looking at those. So one of the things that you'll see here on your paper, it looks very similar to mine, but your lines are probably a little bit neater, is the outer part. Okay, that's the outer part of the circle, what we would call the shape. You see an arrow pointing to that. There's the red line that runs through the center. So there's the center of the circle, and it actually touches both sides of the circle. And then there's a blue line here that starts in the center, but it only touches one side of the circle. Okay, so I want to ask you this question. Does anybody know what this blue line is called? So if you were thinking, oh, Ms. Reisner, that is the radius, okay, then yes, you are correct. That is the radius, and it's actually given to us in problems with a lowercase r, okay. So if you ever see something r equals something, they're talking about the radius there, okay. Does anybody know what the red line is referring to? So if the blue line is the radius, the red line then is actually something called the diameter. And it is denoted in problems with a lowercase d. So d equals whatever it may be is actually giving you the diameter. Okay. And then this black line we would call the circle, is actually called the circumference. Okay, that's the distance around the outside of a circle. You could think of it like perimeter, except with perimeter, we're talking about an object that has sides. Obviously, a circle doesn't have sides, so we call that a circumference. Okay, the next thing that's not listed on here, but you have a space for it on your notes, is what we call pi. So let me switch my instrument here. And in our investigation yesterday, remember, pi we determined was 3.14 something. It keeps going, right? But when we done our investigation yesterday, all of you, for the most part, had at least one object that you got the ratio of your circumference and your diameter to be around 3.14, if not exactly 3.14. So that was really good. I was very proud of you. And we use this symbol here to denote this number. Okay. So when we start looking at the formulas, there are actually two formulas that you can use. So the first one is C, which is for circumference. C equals, you can have your diameter times pi. Okay, and what I like about this one, I like using this formula the most because it's kind of like a play on words for me. So if I'm going to eat the pie, whenever you're eating, you have to physically see food. So if I want to eat the pie, I have to see the pie, right? If I'm going to eat the pie, I have to see the pie. So it's an easy way to remember that formula. The other one is the circumference, or C, equals 2 pi r. Okay, so instead of just using the diameter like a number 1, if I'm given the radius, remember that I have to have the diameter, so I can multiply that radius by 2 to get the diameter. So let's look at our first example here. Okay, when given the diameter, that's our first example. So the diameter of a circle is 4.5 feet. So what's the circumference? Okay, so look back on your notes. We are actually given a formula where it gives us the diameter. So the diameter of a circle is 4.5. So you can put that in. C equals 4.5 times pi. And I want you to use 3.14 for pi. So your circumference then is 14.13 feet. Okay. Let's look at our second example. This is whenever we're given the radius. So that second formula that we talked about, okay, actually use the radius. So the radius of a circle is 7.2 centimeters. What is the circumference? So if my circumference is equal to 2 pi r, all I have to do is substitute in those values. So 2 times pi times 7.2. Okay. C equals 45.22 centimeters. Okay. So I've included some practice examples on your page. I want you to try those and we'll check those in just a second.